Namga Nyambe Simjen Damje Dewa Dande Dungara Danga Nyorda Lana Meba Yanda Barazobe Sanjo Rumbo Jeto Barasa Dala Dangwara Sepetra No Barasepe Tarba Dang Tamje Jembala Barde Jobaraseba Tamje Jezorse Mananga Nyambe Simjen Damje Dewa Dande Dungara Danga Nyorda lana me bayanda barazo be sanjo rumbo je barasa de ye chido sang ma je je bar linga ye song ge wala go ma ye ye bar de linga ye song ge wala go de de re ne song be ni ma sang da sang je bar de linga ye song ge wala go Sanje jit sojen jonom lo zonjo bordo dane jobsen je take jinso jipe sonam dola pensar sanje dobar yo mananga da nyambe semje tamje dewa da deve jodan tempara george dunghara je jodan rawar george dunghara me dewa da mandrawa george Nyeren jadan nyedang rawe danyon seme bala ne barjurje. So next mandala offering. Sa ye beje zoye medo rang ra le ye nye de jimban de sanje shenga me te purwa. Drogen namda yende yubare shu gosong yongzo dame zonang senang sangsong de ye nye jin ju da le long ju na se yong ye la min jo gen u do zar de zo guru rena mandra la banza manga samandra sava Samaye aho Supplication projectation for job danger, domain, zamling, Tabe Dongsong Yong La Jia, Zime Jarwa, Dorjen Chang, Panje Den Gong Bei Yao Lan De Majeshiri. Gange Lode Demye Dendara Nyeda Namdai Rasar Waji Nye Dongwen Jejen Zisar Nyeja Dokar Lungwang Zeng Kandai Zipe Zongrai Mar Mendan Dong Reje Zerwen Doso Gengai Beje Darse Yengai Chuje Yande Rodara Jedo Nyamo Nyelon Leje Jado Donze Je Mare Mensara Dong Nyuga Jenye Junze Rade Nando Ne Da Jen Sa Jen Da Yonde Tezo Jarse Teve Ge Jera Jedan Junye Jen Dalo Mensara Jambe Yang Lan De Om Arapazana De Om Arapazana De Om Arapazana De Om Arapazana Ongarabazana de 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 Ongarabazana Ongarabazana de 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 Ongarabazana Ongarabazana de Owange Joromo Wange 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 Yoromo, 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 Wange Yoromo. Sara je da lo do mo me ba ra sa ne ga dan de je yong lo do ba lo de ba ba nam wa zar de so dang ge tu je sha je rai san rong yin je me do de je bong jong Sergio Lembo, Tower Jeep, Shagja Jarbe, Java, Soran, the Dorjan, Chanchen, the Lonaro, Marba, Mala, Chicha, Gambo, Pamo, Juba, Jarwan, Jigongbe, Kaju, Lama, Nala, Swan, the Romain, Chicha, Angel, Bodang, the Zom, Sanje, Genjang, Ransom, Jigang, Monson, Don the Save, Lame, Java, Soran, the Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the teaching. Hopefully you can hear.
Morning, Kempo.
Morning, you can hear, right? Are you okay?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, then that's good. Hearing is most important. So now I'm going to share with you Nagarjuna's letter to a friend. So then this has 123 verses in this letter to friends. So this teaching followed by virtue in the beginning and the name and homage to the Manjushri. So then Nagarjuna, he going to write this letter to a friend reason because he wanted to clarify more practice, you know, and even his friends knows Dharma. He says, you guys knows Dharma, but I try to make more clear, you know. That's why he said he going to write this letter to friend, and then it's main teaching, then conclusion. So today we are in the main teaching. In the main teaching, he giving many different kind of instructions, suggestions for us. So due to his compassion, every individual, you know, get something, you know what we wanting or need something suggestion from this letter to friend. So then this practice really helps us, you know, changed and become really good Dharma practitioner. Really help this letter to friend. If you know, read each verses carefully, and then, you know, if long as you have some part is memorized, and then it's really good to your maintaining your practice. So when I received this Nagarjuna letter to his friend, the root text we everyone have to memorize. So within 1 month, actually not within 1 month, maybe 2 weeks, have to memorize. Because 1 month I have a couple different, you know, Dharma texts have to memorize. This is one of that time we memorize. So this practice, you know, Nagarjuna, you know, letter to his friend really helped me to study Dharma. Before I read this teaching, receive teaching, before I don't understand. You know, then teacher Kempo, he explained one by one verses, and they will memorize and look carefully, read, and they understand. You know, then that helps become, you know, more understanding Dharma, not just only blind faith to Dharma. So you knowing what you're doing, you know, why we have to practice, the reasons, you know, like this Dharma practice help for what, and the Dharma practice is help for us reduce our attachment, reduce our anger, reduce ego. So, you know, then reduce self-grasping fixations. So long as we reduce the negative emotions, then we are less suffering in samsara. So here is Nagarjuna sharing is most important is like he looking to, you know, for what is the causes of emotions. The causes of emotion is all is fixation, desire, you know, grasping these things. And then you read this, you know, verses each one by one, become less desire, less fixations. So then naturally less suffering. So this each verses is very powerful. And we knowing, you know, the also different realms, the beings suffering. When we talk about here, you know, it's the hell realm suffering, hungry ghost suffering, animal realm suffering. So we have to actually cultivate, try to get that kind of feeling, very strong feeling, come to our mind. Then we kind of like, you know, nervous, fear for this fear arising from our mind for this lower realms suffering. So that fear is, I think I told you, is a positive fear. We have negative fear, we have a positive fear. You know, positive fear is helps us free from negative fear. So this positive helps us go to right path. You know, do something good. Positive fear helps us like we can change. So that's why Nagarjuna sharing this lower realms suffering lots here. It's really good. You know, when we learn this and you get kind of fear, and then same time arising compassion for who stuck in these lower realms, arise compassion. So that compassion purify our lower realms negative karma. So that's is like, you know, why it's here is this Nagarjuna not making us you know, like fear. This recognize, you know, fear helps us like growing our compassion, love for other these lower realm beings. They also, we knows, you know, we don't want to reborn these lower realms. We don't want to get there, they're stuck there. So then Nagarjuna share us how to free from these lower realms. You know, that's the most important, right? If we stuck lower realms, then many lifetimes are stuck. And in this lifetime, you know, we just sometimes we get stuck some situation very difficult, very temporary. Maybe 1 day, 2 day, 1 month, we think it's really long, but according to actually, you know, comparing to this lower realm beings suffering, we are stuck in this human beings suffering is very short term. Cannot comparing them. So then we just taking care in this life many things. So Nagarjuna said, better take care in these lower realms, not falling there. That is taking care is really important. Then we taking care in this life, you know, something like you go to take shower and you think this is important, you have to go to make friends, and we think this is very important. You know, many things like in this samsara activities, we think really important, we have to take care. But people who really see this lower realms suffering, then this our maintaining, you know, daily maintaining bodily things, there everything is useless, is nothing important there. So that kind of, you know, we understanding is become growing our wisdom. So we start very, you know, tiny kind of like nothing important, not much benefit us, but we think is important. We stuck that because due to our wisdom, you know, like, I mean, we don't have enough wisdom. That's why we stuck very small, tiny things. We are so care about important. Nothing much benefit, but we think it's so important. So same is, you know, we see the kids, the toys, like the kids play toys, they're very important for them. You know, actually we see that tools is like nothing useful, not important, but for them it's so important. You know, they lose tools, they cry. If someone take, they're angry. They attach to their own tools. Someone talk and the hatred to anger object, attachment object. But eaters recognize that tools like nothing important. But kids stuck that kind of, situation because due to their capacity. Same, our ordinary beings' capacity, and with just worldly thing, taking care is so important for us. But comparing to, these high realizer beings, comparing Nagarjuna, then we just taking care, everything is useless and nothing important, not really benefit. Some our taking care things is harming for us, but we think, it's benefit us. But due to our ignorance, we don't recognize something, even we take care, we importing things, doing is like harming us, but we don't recognize due to our ignorance. Some is like we do to our self fixation, grasping, we don't want to let go. We hold due to anger and pride. Even we know it's not good, but we don't let go. So that's why in, war also, everyone knows it's bad, but who create wars, they knows it's bad, but due to the ego attachment, they not let go, no, even they die, let them die, so that kind of, due to the ignorance. They create their own suffering, create others' suffering. So that's all is, due to ignorance and emotions. So that's why Nagarjuna sharing us here, some who really strong attached to samsara, they don't want to hear these things. Okay, who really stuck, attached, desire temporary things, they don't want to hear these things. But this one, very strong medicine. It cares our lower realm suffering, because you wanted to cure your illness, we have needed to go through suggestions, surgery, and it very difficult medicine. Spend lots of money, pay many things. We have to go through difficulty. Otherwise, our illness not easy to cure, right? Something wrong. Same, like you wanted to free from lower realms, you have to hear these things. It's there front of us. So door is always open lower realms. We don't want to hear that nothing benefit anything. So that's why we have to hear these things, investigate, cultivate, meditate, arising compassion for these realms. We wanted to free from these lower realms, get renunciation, ourselves, wanted to liberate, and wanted to help these lower realm beings. Then that's the goal. Long as you have that intention arising, then you study later to frame is useful. We cannot have every, whatever here says, completely we can practice, but, arising compassion for lower realms, wanting to liberate, free from samsara, very strong renunciation arising. So that's the goal of this study. Letter to Frank, okay? So now, yesterday we talked is everything's impermanent. So you have really good everything comfort. It's become got lost. Your very high possession become lost. So you have really good, or your environment can be lost. The loss is not just loss, it's become really bad loss. Extremely loss, So that's the sharing here. So if higher ramps, we reborn to take higher ramps, then lose is like going to higher ramps. That's kind of, like big things losing. That's the Nagarjuna sharing here. So that means like we have to know everything's impermanent, everything's changing. So we have to arise compassion for everyone, not only only who suffering beings. We have to arise compassion for who has, this all desire things. We have to arise compassion to who has power, who has, all this like samsaric, the highest level condition who has. So we need, thank you, we have to arise compassion to them, because they sooner or later, they're going to go that area. I mean, they're going to start their realms. So that's why we have to arise compassion to them. So now today, I think we are verses is 70 or 71.
I think it's 71, Khenpo. Does that sound right, everyone?
I think so, yes.
I think so.
Yep. Right, everyone, right?
Yes.
71.
Okay. 71. So 71 is, your place is like amazing. Yeah. Whatever you want, you have, desire everything. So, what transportation you want to have, whatever you want, you have. You want to drive a car, you have a great car. You want to have a beautiful house, you have beautiful house, beach house, vacation house, yeah, everything. And you have own jet, everything. So that kind of, the someone who has a desire, all this comfort object. But that all is going to lost. See, that's why 4 years you may have stay Meru's crest, delighting us eat yearly underfoot. So underfoot is like even your foot is go to in the ground. You want to solve, is solve. You want something rough, there is rough. Whatever you want to desire, you have. So that means like whatever you want, you have. Then you stay there is like many, like human beings, we say think about the 80 years, 100 years, but in the God's realm is like 100 years, many years. They have this grow of the torment that was tricky, too wide through glowing cores and rotting flesh. Then the person is falling to the lower realms. Same is like they have own jet, is a crash, burning in the plane themselves, right? They have like great car, whatever they wanted to dive, the crash, accident, die in the, inside the car, like burning. So like that kind of, and with the friends, with like families all together, that kind of, suffering, they become lower realms means coarse and rotting flesh means, see, all this we see in this worldly. This is like some in the hell realms. It's your work. It's all is corpse with rotting flesh. So it's burning everything. That kind, place the stuck. These beings not always there. Their beings like being to very high level in samsara. All the best desire they has, but then fell down in this kind of place. So we see in this human beings realm, someone has their own jet. The crash with all the family together. It's the same. Some has their own beautiful house, earthquake, natural disaster, or burning, something happen. It's all is like together die. Is there? Then there's the same coarse and the rotting flesh. His body is burning. So that means all is going to lost. So we here is like the Nagarjuna sharing is talking about the highest heaven, the God's realm, you know, all the good highest level desire, these beings, good what they have, everything good, falling to this coarse and rotten flesh realm. But in our look to our human beings, we see this kind of human beings we have, especially who has very, you know, comfort, good things. They lose always like everything, same is happening this kind, you know. And then animal realm, always. So animal realm, they be with the animals, like they're also their friend, their family, they all has family together. But then due to some, you know, disaster, and the human beings create the disaster, animal also happen like this kind of situation. So all these six realms beings have this situation happening every time. So that's we have to know right now. Whatever we have, the good comfort, desire thing, whatever good things, is can be impermanent, can be causes of suffering. So that's why the point is Nagarjuna, I think sharing is whatever right now we have good comfort, object, desire things, we know so much fixation to that, no grasping to that. We use that correctly, less fixation, less attachment. So then it's become no causes of suffering. Then you can do, you know, like you have something good, land, house, and a car, any object, you have special things, you can mentally offering to, you know, enlightened beings. So the object is offering, then belong to the enlightened beings. Our body, speech, mind belong to enlightened being. Then that helps become remove this causes of suffering. You know, same time we have to recognize the fear. You know, this if stuck this kind of realm is extremely suffering. Can you hear or no? I don't know. Everyone can no moving stuck.
Yeah,
Yes.
we can hear
Yeah,
you.
we can hear. We are shocked of the teachings.
Okay.
Yeah, we can hear you, Kambula.
Okay, then good. So you understand, right, what I'm saying? No, not only hearing, so you have to understand, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so then we go to the...
Yes, we understand. I understand, yes.
Okay, so we then move to verses 72.
Can I just ask one question, or shall I wait for the end?
Wait.
It's just yeah. So what kind of the attitude is good to, you know, to display? Because like you know, you said about this desire, like, you know.
Oh,
it's
I
different.
think that Kempo said to maybe wait till the end.
Okay.
I think his voice got cut off. So
Yeah, can wait is better because I don't hear clearly. Okay, so then we go to next one, 72. Then those who in the joy's garden fled, and in a beauty's grove were served by heaven's mind, meet, will come to woods of a tree with sword-like leaves, and cut their hands and feet, their ears and nose. So, impermanent, you know, everything change. When you be in the God's realm with all the goddess together, so enjoy all the desires, then you finish it, you know, the karma falling to the lower realms. So lower realm falling to in the higher realm. So you have this kind of experience. Is the to the world trees. You go to the forest. This is you know, everything is own experience. Towards the trees with sword-like leaves, all the leaf is become, you know, very sharp. Same as a knife or leather leaves, and cut their hands and feet. Naturally they cut and the air and the feet and the hands, everything. the ears and the nose. So that kind of suffering. See, first, the great enjoyment, but then finish that karma, falling to in this kind of realm. So everything's uncertainty, everything's changing, impermanent. And we don't want to falling in this kind of realm too. So also think about in human beings, you know, in this realm, human beings realm, all the great comfort, enjoyment, but due to the human beings' desire, ego, I already told you, due to that, become war, fighting, so many warpings. Then just our, the body is like, everything is like warping, cutting, or burning. So we see the war, what happened, and that is like happening for, is same exactly, Herram has that kind of experience. In the human being, we have also the human beings create that happening in the world. So that's also, karma due to free from, the like exhausting good karma and the negative karma arising.
You're frozen now, Kempo, if you can hear us.
My turn to teach now.
Right? I don't know, can you hear? Hello, everyone.
Yep. Now you're back, Kempo.
We can
Okay,
hear
I
you,
come back.
Kempo. We can hear you.
Okay, so yeah, the verses 72 is we just think about in the world, as a human beings create this suffering, so many warpings. This all warpings why create? Because wanted to cutting the human beings' hands, legs, ears, and burn the body. So that's why they create all these warpings. And then that happening, due to emotion, ego, they use this, then we get suffering. So we have great everything in this world, enjoyment, but then due to emotion, we get this suffering. So that's also we have great is going to change to this kind of suffering. Then this kind of suffering also become finish karma. All the human beings are tired, fighting, then become go back to again better life. So that is all samsara. In this case, Nagarjuna just specifically God's realm, highest level desire is falling to in this, hair realm has all the trees like leaves, everything, branches like warping. So you naturally, you stuck in there because due to karma, but then you're cutting all your bodies. So that is the negative karma's perception. Who has negative karma, their perception. everything's our own perception. So then in this human beings also, we just kind of, the example, understanding this happening all the time. So that's verses 72. And then verses 73. Among the golden lotus and the lovely maids, they bathe in heaven's gently flowing, pour, but into his own waters where they plunge. The Scalding, right? Scalding Castor, River, Nunkin Ford. In this one, all this, the point is goddess or goddess. So it's changing like because it's due to individual, like you are the man and then follow exactly same words, but female is then goddess is change goddess. So other just same idea we have to keep. Then in the heaven has goddess or this the girl and the boy are extremely beautiful. So they enjoy together, and they be in the together the gentle following pour and the bathing together and enjoyment. But then they finish their own karma, the good karma exhaust, but into here's own waters where they plunge. So then the scalding caustic river non-kin ford means in the harem's water is actually you stuck in that water, you cannot get out. No any areas you get out because the no place to get out from that. And that kind of then their harem, these beings has their own perception. Same time, that water is not just regular water. You cannot get out from that. The water is extremely heat or extremely cold. So then it's burning the body or frozen the body. So that kind, experience the stuck there. So this all is changing. Who has this lower realm suffering, then free from the negative karma, they're going to take higher realms. Higher realm, then go to the lower realms. So this is called cyclic existence, samsara cyclic existence. That's the Nagarjuna shares, like example, God's realm falling to the hair realms beings. Hair realm is going up to again in the God's realms, happening this kind of experience. Then also our human beings, in the human being, our realm, we have so good things, waterfalls, we have pools, we have so many spas and great things. Then it's one day it's become, stuck in the falling to the extremely can be, falling to the frozen water, die, and hot water, like heating to heat to die. So it's become no any water, body is burning, dry. So that kind of, so just someone cannot think to have this kind of situation happening all the time. Someone stuck in the water, die. So some think about, someone is great, the number one swimmer, but then die in the water. Yeah, someone is like the number one pilots die in the airplane. So that kind of, like always like highest one is die that the use that condition or object or cause that die. So that's why it's happen everything like that in the samsara. We have very good beautiful house, then we die in that house. We have great car, we use that car, we die in that car. So this is same, as human beings around, we always have this situation, sufferings going on individually. Then we go to verses 74. So Kama Loka, God, one gains such bliss as Burma, bliss that is free from all desire, but know that after there comes constant pain. As firewood, one feeds Avisis flames. So Kama Loka gods is very high level gods realm. So they have so many realms. I don't know exactly where they are. It's we cannot point. Then one gains such bliss means that they're extremely joyful, bliss. Then in God's realm, this is the highest level, I think, enjoyment, desire, enjoyment, bliss. As Burman, so then Burman bliss. So Burman means like also this Burman is not the human being. We talk about the Burma something is a caste system has Burmas, but not that one. This is the Sangpa is like in the God's realm. So it's another God realm. It's the very great Ram actually Burma bliss. So there's great joy that is free from all desire. Desire means like they don't have much desire. Everything's they're happening there. You know what they need. Like we in human being we have so much desire because we can hard to get. That's why we have so desire. In this realm, everything is naturally get. So that's why they don't have that desire. Same as human beings. But I think no realization realize free from desire. But I think point is here. This God's realm, everything's get. Then not that much desire. But know that after that comes constant pain. So then that kind of they get highest level reserve, bliss, joy. But then they finish that condition cause. After, there comes constant pain, then extremely pain. Extremely pain is as a firewood, one feeds Avis flames, means like the body is become firewood. So hair ramps firewood, body is burning. Then that kind of lower rays can falling to like that. Also in this case, in this human being realm, very high level. Think about like the who has power, who has all this material gain, their kids has everything, whatever they want, desires. That's why they don't really care about like food and clothes and like something object. They don't care because they're easy to get whatever they want. They don't really care. That kind of they not that much desire. Same is like poor people get something very desire wanting, but this kids they're wanting things easy. They don't have like same is like poor people wanting desire thing. So then this that kind of they get, then falling again. So lose that is become the body is hair ramps like firewood. Then the firewood comes like that kind of suffering is here sharing is like see there comes constant pain, constantly pain, never stop. That kind of suffering. So that's also see higher rank falling to the lower ranks. And then 17.5 is one who was reborn as a sun or moon, whose bodies like whole worlds far below, where they arrive in states of darkest gloom. His outstretched hands will be invisible. So then someone reborn to God's realms. They have their own lights. They have their own lights. Their own body has a sun and the light kind of, their dark is naturally removed. They don't rely on our sun and the moon. So wherever they go, they use their own lights, can see everything. Very far away, they can see. Then they lose that quality. What happened? They're falling to another realm. They cannot see their own body. They don't see eons their own body. So the darkest place they're falling. That's also impermanent and changing. So, then that is many we look to in this world, animal realms, human beings, like they have some situation that kind of too. So, it's like it's really dark. Maybe Alaska could be. It's always sun. Then they lost to always winter and no sun, 24 hours. That kind also can be, but it's example. That's not really exactly, but example. Okay. Another, I went to the Kentucky, has a big cape with Mary. I don't remember the cape. It's really go down all the way to down there. Then there has fishes and the animals. They cannot see the light. They never see the sun. These beings has maybe their own perception like that kind. So in the underground, the beings and some areas never light. So individually has their kind of different perceptions. We don't know, but sometimes like with I think it's okay. This cape to in the all the way down the cape, they never see the sun. They cannot see, but could be they can see their own body because they have their own perceptions. But we don't know that we cannot say place. This one can see, this one cannot see. Some beings has this own experience. They don't see their body. State of dark gloom. His outstretched hands will be invisible. They don't see, they don't recognize. And then next is 76 verses. So thus it is you or air. And knowing this, so Nagarjuna said, we have to know this, or what he talked. He said, we have to know that. And knowing, and we think, we cultivate, then we want to free from these states. We don't want to stuck this realm. Same time, we also cultivate loving compassion to these beings. So love, compassion arising because cultivate this thing, this situation, these realms, then arise love, compassion. True love, compassion arise for these beings. Then also love, compassion arise to ourselves because we don't want to go this realm. We don't want to stuck there. Want freedom from this realm. And knowing this, we have to know this. Please seize the lamp of Mary's trapper form. So Nagarjuna said, please, he's really begging us, do good things, don't fall in these realms. He said, please seize the lamp of merit trap form is like do something good, create accumulation, merit. Don't create causes of in this falling to these realms. For otherwise what happened? Or plunge and go alone in deepest dark, unlit by sun or moon. If otherwise we're going to ourselves, falling into these realms, and then really dark and no moon, no sun, extremely suffering. So that's why Nagarjuna said, please create something good things. Like this accumulation, many likes. We have to create something positive likes. We have to create some more like that kind of, positive karma. We have to create powerful. The negative darknesses have to remove. So otherwise we can following these realms. Nagarjunas, please don't following these realms. Okay, take care. He sharing for us, don't following these realms. For then verses 77. For beings who indulge in evil deeds. So who falling to these realms? Someone does evil deeds. Evil deeds means, intention, very strong, wanted to harm others, wanted to take happiness other beings. So this evil deeds who create these beings falling to these realms, it's a good thing too, because who create negative karma, we can, in this country don't have law. Yeah, government law is only for ordinary regular people has these laws. They put, go to trial or jail. It's like regular people, but this powerful people, their government don't, they bring to the trial or like in the like they put in the jail. So in the world, we know some dictators kill millions of people, some kill in hundreds, thousands, like so many, they create suffering others. But still they're great, like in the, in the world we see, they don't have a law. No one can put in the jail. That they think they are the free from, they don't care anything. They don't care the law anything, because then no one can do anything with them, right? So karma is not like that. Karma is all beings same. Doesn't matter who we are, right? Jigten Sunggon says, if you do negative karma, even you have 10th level Pimi Bodhisattva can be go wrong. But that is not possible. But if the karma create something, even 10th level Pimi Bodhisattva go wrong, means like karma works for everyone. Okay, so then who create evil deeds in this world? So that means, okay, here, there's constant pain in this and others here. So this, he mentioned about a couple realms here, hell realms. So Nagarjuna said this being going to these lower realms, reviving here. Reviving here is die and come back again, I think. So in this explain some teachings more, this is a root text. The commentaries usually explain reviving here means, and die, the die is all this naturally warpings. The cut the body die, and then in the naturally song arise alive, come back alive. Then same time, this natural again all these warpings cut the body die, and then song natural arising is alive, come back again. So that kind of, it's called reviving here. Means like die and come back again, die and come back each moment. Black lane means, body naturally happening all this black lane. We lanes comes. Then the warping cut through all these lanes. So that's called black lane here. And instant heat. So then instant heat realm is extremely heat. So 1,000 times heater in this fire, our fire. So that is called instant heat. And crushing means, crushing with the mountains between, crush with the big, giant animals between. the beat, you know, two animals like fighting, beat together, and then we are between the die, and like same is like car accident. So that is called the crashing here. Screaming means like extremely screaming because it's like extremely heat or cold. So either one, you know, extremely happy. That's why screaming. Torment unsurpassed. This is the lowest one. Tormented unsurpassed is called tormented unsurpassed is like constantly the lowest, like, you know, even no time to breathe, no moment like you have like just joy. I mean the like without suffering. So you don't have one moment constantly. Torment unsurpassed. So that is the lowest one. So this mention about the rams, and he talk about 8 heat rams, 8 cold rams, the 60, and then another 2 is 18. That usually the 18 hair rams talk about. So here he mentioned about the rams is like, you know, these big ones, and the 6, and this 6 is like some is more heat one part, another cold. So it's plus 6 heat, 6 cold, this one, and then, you know, so the 8 heat one, 8 cold one is 16 hairs together. So he mentioned about one by one here. 78. Some are squeezed and pressed like sesame. Okay, so that means so we create the sesame seeds. We create, you know, like oil. Same is like bodies become squeezed and pressed like sesame. So we do something like we machines does, you know. So like we create a smoothie, you know, like make fruit together. So that kind, you know, bodies become squeezed and pressed like sesame. Others likewise grown like fence floor. So that means so its bodies become, you know, cutting pieces like very small, same as flour, like fence floor. Some are cut and curved as if with the saws. Others hack with the exerts razor honed. Then this different kind of weapon he mentioned about the cutting this our body, you know. So very sharp and powerful weapons cutting the body. So like we know, so like some animals, human beings, we do this way. And they put in the animal in the machine and take out the skin, cut the body, and then body or put the pieces like just we know that happen in the animal realm. So that's also animal realm. They have this suffering for them. The animal is like used to maybe very powerful God's realm. So then born to animal become, you know, bodies pieces cutting. We create this suffering for animal realms. So we see that, and then also could be human beings also torture each other, and could be, you know, the cutting bodies like this way create suffering. Not only hair realm like we think all happening, that in the human being realms we see the animal realm happening this kind of sufferings. So, you know, this often happen, but sometimes we don't recognize. We do something, maybe many other beings and the bugs, animals, bodies cutting. So that kind of, you know, often happen. So their suffering is the same as like what Nagarjuna says here, sharing, you know. So we have to know that way. Then verses 79. Others stir are draughts of burning molten broses that flares and sparks. So, you know, there that, you know, harem beings no choice because forcing to drink, you know, pulling that the drugs, you know, of burning. So if this go into the body, then body is like melting. So same is like our thing about your butter is put in the fire. So butter is melting into the fire. Same, you know, this put in the mouth is then whole body is become melting. That kind of, you know, suffering, burning, melting, broad things that flares and sparks. Some amplitude and treat into scavers. So some, you know, the forcing to climb the trees. And then all tree is warping, nails. It's not only nails, it's fire nails. Think about it, you know, it's poison nails. So that's why, you know, threw it into scavers, burned in the forcefully blazing stakes of steel. So that kind of, you know, like experience this many beings has suffering. This is a harem suffering. Then next is verses 80. Actually, you know, in here, Nagarjuna mentioned about all these harems. Then many other teaching, you know, so like maybe geonomic liberation is very famous teaching. And then perfect of mind guru or teacher, you know, Pato Rinpoche wrote. And then Jigten Sunggung has a essence of Mahayana, that kind of book mention about all these different realms. So all is followed by Nagarjuna, this teaching. You know, after Nagarjuna, then all these different teachers follow the Nagarjuna's, what he says exactly, the mention about it. They also, these teachers are exactly same, you know, they're realizes that they're knowing beings are suffering like this in the realms. You know, this time we have so much, you know, all these technologies, and due to that, everything is easy to understand. Because this kind of suffering is like we not only have realms, in the human being realms, animal realm, everywhere going on this kind of suffering. So we knowing this, we see before only this realizes here, but people who live in the villages, remote areas, they don't recognize these sufferings. So now, you know, whole world is become very small, and human beings so much desire, and then jealousy, anger, due to that create all this kind of suffering other beings, each other. Everyone okay? Can you hear?
Yes, we can hear Kimpo.
Okay.
Yes, we can hear.
Okay. So it's a suffering. That's so we have experienced just regular water and not regular drink good things. It's all it's burning things. So here and experience is all the drink water is become you know, here's a burning, molten, broad beings go to the forest, the, you know, the climb the forest, or is like bridges, sticks of stairs. So that's the feeling. And then verses 80. Some whom savage draws with iron fangs were wrapped to shells and throw up their hands, and others powerless are picked by crows with sharpened bits of steel and razor claws. So this kind of experience suffering is more for who torture animals. Then that person who die, there has this suffering. So should be have, right? Because like thinking about human beings, so much torture animals. If they don't have a karma, then then it's ridiculous, right? Something must have to have for them. So some who savage draws with iron fangs means in the harems, they see the draw is a really big giant. Same time, the draw with iron fangs is iron fangs. It's really big, warping. So then this draw eat the person were up to streets, indeed throw up their hands, so eating one by one body. So that is someone who torture animals in this life, and then future life harem, they have this experience. And others then powerless are picked by crows. So the harem, this beings no power. The crow pick up, the very powerful crow comes to pick up crows with the sharpening beads of steel. Then there's very sharp beads of steel and the razor claws. There has like hand has like sharp weapons, and then their crow has like the mouth is very sharp. They eat by the body. So this kind of who get experience mostly I think in the human being realm, who create so much suffering in the animal realm. So who care the fish, hook up right all the time, and who care the cows, animals, torture. So they have this experience. Then same thing, 81 follow again. Some there are who roar about and were devoured by worms and multicolored grubs, then thousand butterflies and bees that live great settings and beads unbearable to touch. Kaji Bruan Nasodan Shadan Rama Nabun Tratata, Renamazi Mazuchins in the Savarjich they don't hang on. And then in this lower realm again, harem, this many harem beings have this experience again. What happened is some there are who roar about and where means falling to in these realms, then so many different kind of bugs, insects, different kind, diversity. So we scared what is called the beads, we scared the beads, and then in falling to in this realm, so many beads. The beads are no same as our beads here. More dangerous than these beads, okay? And then so many mosquitoes. The mosquitoes not like this in these mosquitoes. These mosquitoes are powerless. We can kill easily, use sprays or something. But in this mosquito is like powerful. You don't have any solution to do that, anything. So many this kind of beings come and eat us. So there's also who torture the animal realms, who create a disaster for animal. sentient beings, others. So can be also some really torture the beings and torture the, the many these bugs beings. Then when they die, they have this experience. They eat the body, and then whole bodies become, uh, uh, thousand buzzards, flea, and bees that leave great stings and bites. Bites unbearable to touch. So that kind of suffering. Then 82. To some in heap of blazing red hot coals. Catching okay, so then some in heaps of blazing red hot coals. And this last two is, I think it's more. Okay, so the last two is very similar. Some in heaps of blazing red hot coals. So the same is like we create a fire, and then we don't see the fire, but it's so hot in there. Inside is a fire there. So that kind of, feet is walking through, and the feet touch to this kind of a place, and the hole is burning, are burnt without a break. Their mouth agape, and some are bored in cauldrons made of iron, cookie like dumplings, his tongue upside down. So then, it's a different kind of rams here mentioned about. Some is like memorable with, all this area, like where you walk, is fire. You don't really see, but when you feet goes there and burning, then your mouth is open and so much suffering and pain is like, it's unbelievable pain of course. Then some is like boiling in a cauldrons and made of iron. So made of iron and like covered. So we cook the rice cooker or something, cook pressure cooker. So that kind of, in the, inside the cook pressure cooker, cook like dumpling, has the tongue upside down. So we do human beings, we do for animals like this, animal alive, they burn in the stove. Animal alive, they put in the pressure cook and they cook. So their animal body, but their suffering is their experience is exactly going on this, So whatever here Nagarjuna says is in human being realms, in this animal realms, all the time going on these sufferings. Then their suffering we don't recognize because we don't have that feeling, experience, but their own experience is them. Body can be human being, body can be animal, doesn't matter, right? And then these beings used to could be all the highest level beings, but then falling to in this kind of realm suffering. Then who torture this kind of, create suffering for other, that person also exactly get this kind of realm again, because due to karma. So it then
It If you can hear us, Kempo, you are frozen again. We're not able to hear.
83, I think 83, right? Yung gawa something teacher parts very instant that there's here or no? Hi everyone, okay?
Yeah, we missed a little bit, Kempo. I don't know if you were on 82 or 83.
We are 83.
Okay.
So 82 is just finished. 82 is just finished. I mentioned about 82
So,
is you know,
Kempo,
in
we're
the
not getting any
animal,
of that. I'm
yeah,
sorry.
we don't have this. Some animals, human beings have this experience all the time. Oh, so can you hear or no?
No,
So
you
this
were
I have,
breaking up quite a bit, but you're good right now.
okay. So now we're going. Actually, we are just finished 82. I don't know. You hear everything. 82.
82, we didn't hear anything about 82.
Really?
I don't think so.
I think you meant 83, Debbie. Is that
Oh,
83.
okay.
Yeah, we heard 82. We didn't hear 83 yet.
Okay, thank
So
you.
83, no yet. Okay.
Okay, that's good then. Okay.
Yeah. 83, no yet. 82 is we are just a share. You know, 82 and all this Nagarjuna mentioned about the different kind of hair ramps. This hair ram he mentioned about this suffering. You know, here the God's realm is falling to the lower realms, and the human being can be lower realms. Lower realm has this kind of like hair realm has a suffering, but we just think about it. You know, in human beings realm, animal realm, we have Nagarjuna mentioned about this kind of suffering, because many animals, human beings torture. So we cook animals in the alive sometimes, like we know that in the restaurants many places they cook alive beings cook, you know, their suffering is in whatever he mentioned about Nagarjuna, same for them feeling. Then who does this kind, that person also going to fall into this kind of ram, because it's a karma, you know. It's a otherwise then if no karma, it's ridiculous, right? It's someone so much torture animals. If they don't have any karma, then no makes sense. Yeah. So that's why Nagarjuna here sharing is, I think, in this kind of suffering our human beings, Ram has, and animal Rams has, who create, you know, we create this kind of like suffering for animals, human beings, each other. Who created this suffering for each other beings, that person also falling into in this kind of Ram, their own perception they has. Do you get? Okay, so that's 82. Now we go to 83. The very instant that they cease to breathe, the wake test the boundless pain over here. So, you know, someone created so much non-virtuous deeds. The very instant that they cease to breathe means like they when they die, breath is gone, right? Finish it. Same time, they're falling to these realms, suffering. So that's why, you know, when we talk about the Pardo teachings, I think you hear this many times. So we talk about Pardo, and the Pardo beings not that strong, powerful practitioner, realizer, not someone created no virtuous very strong. You know, that beings go to the Pardo, right? Regular beings go to the Pardo. Someone who has a very strong Dharma practice, they liberate in the Pardo, first state, second state. So they can liberate the Dharma Kaya, they can liberate, you know, Sambhona Kaya. They can liberate Nirmana Kaya in the Pardo. then many ordinary beings go to the Pardo. But who create very strong non-virtuous deeds? That beings also not going to the Pardo. See, here says, they very instantly that they cease to breathe. Like when they breathe gone, instantly they go to these lower realms. The wake test, the boundless pain of here, like extremely suffering, in these hair realms, they go to that realms. And he who hearing this is not afraid. 1,000-fold is truly damning hard. If you hear this kind of suffering, in harem suffering, if you don't have any fears, then your mind, your heart is damning. Nagarjuna says damning. So it's good, like if you have kind of fear, nervous, scared, really wanted to free from this, that's we need, You have this kind of feeling, then you study this teaching, is meaningful. Otherwise, you're just like kind of hearing stories, you don't have any fears, then teaching not really benefiting you. Okay? So what I understand, here, when we hear this teaching, have very strong fear and wanted to free from this realm, arise compassion to these realm beings, then that is like become, this teaching affected us, benefit us. This teaching liberating us. So, if you get fear, it's great. If you don't want to go this round, it's great. Your mind has like needed something, heartbeat is really good. Usually your heartbeat is useless. When you get fear, heartbeat is useless. In this time, when you hear this kind of teaching and your heartbeat is, I think it's useful, powerful, because that really helps remove this negative karma. Who go to these realms, they don't have any fear, create negative karma. Then they're falling to these realms. So when you hear this teaching, then get something fierce, is positive. If you don't get fear, you have to go back and read again, have to cultivate this haram beings suffering. Then this keeps, this practice helps put us in the spiritual path. This helps become follow the Dharma. This helps get a good renunciation. This helps become, like forethought meditation. Our mind is turning to the Dharma, spiritual. So we don't know these things, then we are strong fixation, desire, samsara. We don't get renunciation. We don't have any, our mind turning to the Dharma. So it's important to you. We have to know this. We have to think we are free from these states. How lucky we are. Right now we have human being's body. This is very temporary and very hard to get. So now we get this human being's body. We have happy and do something, right? Always meaningful. So we have to create something good things. So 1,000-fold is truly damning hard. Okay, don't go to the damning hard. Our heart must be the very soft. If damning hard, then Dharma no benefit. Next is if simply seeing picture of the hairs and hearing, thinking, reading of them secrets, or making sculpture, figure, needs we say, how hard to bear the wrapping through will be. The point is like, Nagarjuna say, So you see the harems painting, someone draw, So this one is, we have the tanka is called the where, Mara Horden, like Hor Samsara, the where of tanka. In there is a draw all these 6 rams. Usually this draw in the temple's drawer, because they have people, reminding, we don't, every day you see this draw tanka and the wall painting, you don't want to fall into that rams. So then you see the draw, or you someone like, sharing you this kind of teaching, you hear all this 6 hair rams suffering, you hearing, or you cultivating, thinking about, hair ram suffering. So then you also read from the books, or someone create, like hair rams, like imagination. So they have some people create movies about hair rams. That kind of, when you see and you have fears, when you hearing the harem, you see the draw the tanka paintings, you read the book, or you have watched something, kind of harem suffering, imaginations, you get very strong fear. Then we get the fears that for through that. But if you really go into this realm, true, you get experience extremely fear. Even you hear these harems, we get fears, but you really go into this experience ourselves, how much we fear. So Nagarjuna says, is if you really have extremely this rapping in your ourselves, how hard to bear the rapping through will be. We have to caution ourselves. Think, say, okay, this is really hard, no easy. Even we see the draw tank of someone telling these stories, we get fear. Then if we get really truly wrapping this kind of suffering us, then how hard. So we have to caution ourselves, think about ourselves. We don't want to fall in these realms. So that's we have to create ourselves very strong feeling. Then 85. Of all the forms of happiness there are, the Lord is blessed where cravings fully spent. So too, of all the misery there is, the pain in torment unsurpassed is worst. So Nagarjuna here, this verses 85 is, he said, just highest level joy and happiness, and the more lowest or the hardest or the very strongest suffering. He just mentioned about 2 things. Which one is the highest bliss? Which one is the deepest or the worst here? Yeah, he mentioned about these 2. Of all the forms of happiness, there are so many different kind of happiness. The highest realms, the Lord is blessed where crowings fully spring. So means like you're free from desire. Then you have highest level bliss and joy. So that is the within in samsara, or I think the highest is like you free from desires. The Lord is blessed where coverings fully spent. So true, all of the misery there is like, which one is more misery suffering? Misery suffering is the pain in torment unsurpassed is worse. So that's called lowest realm. And he mentioned about the highest realm is most blessed one. And he mentioned about the lowest Ram. So these two things. Then verses 86. So 86, for one whole day on earth, 300 ducks may stick you hard and cause you grievous pain, but that could never illustrate or match a fraction of the smallest pain and in here. So the hair ramps actually no examples anything in this human beings like we can suffering cannot example hair ramps suffering. In this within this human beings ram, someone whole day, one day on earth, 300 drugs may stick you hard and cause you gross as pain. Someone like maybe cutting like 1,000 times our body in this life one day. This comparing to hair rams is not that much. The hair rams more suffering than that. That is comparing to hair rams like the not that strong, but that could never illustrate or match. Cannot comparing actually a fraction of the smallest pain in here. So in this human beings ram, someone torture us, the one day maybe beat up 1,000 times or torture 1,000 times. That cannot comparing to hair rams suffering, even the smallest one. So hair rams more suffering than that. In this ram, think about it, the sun is too hot. We talk about the hair rams very hot, but this sun is cannot comparing to hair rams hot. Hair ram hot is 1,000 times more hotter than this. So then hair rams, we talk about the cold, and in this ram, frozen, coldest weather, 1,000 times colder than this hair rams. So that's why cannot comparing in this ram suffering in the hair rams. So that's we have to understand. Hair rams more suffering than human beings ram. Then who created this hair ram beings suffering? We create ourselves because we torture the animals, torture other beings. Then due to that karma going to these lower realms. And who following these lower realms? Who create a strong negative karma? Not just ordinary beings. I think go there, right? Because ordinary beings go to the pardo. So we already mentioned about Nagarjuna here mentioned about who create very strong non-virtuous deeds. That person go to the lower realms, hair realms. And when they die, when breath cease, they go that moment directly to the hair realms. Ordinary beings not going to the hair realms, going to the pardo. So we have 49 days in the pardo after death for intermediate states. Then if you practice the Dharma, you don't go to the lower hair realms, you don't go to the pardo. When we die, then instantly liberate ourselves. So that's also depending individual situation, which karma we create, yeah? So know what time is. Sun is too hot in here too.
20 minutes. 20 minutes. Move to you move to
There's
the
more
shade.
shadow here.
Maybe back there.
I think I have to move a little bit. My son is hot. I a little bit get experience hair ramps suffering. So that helps I rise compassion to the hair ramps. So when we so much like when we get too heat, and then that time we have to cultivate hair ramps suffering. When we get too cold, we have to cultivate hair ramps suffering. When we get too hunger and thirsty, we have to cultivate hungry ghosts suffering. Then that time, like heat, cold, hunger, thirsty is become useful because you cultivate that ram's suffering, then we burning that karma. So otherwise, like useless our suffering in the human beings. You cultivate other beings suffering, then the moments arise compassion on other beings. Use this experience ourselves. So it's good to do something extremely heat, extremely cold things you do, and then you cultivate this being's suffering. It's extremely powerful. That's why we have a Nyingne retreat. Nyingne retreat practice. We don't talk. It's cultivate animal suffering. Animal cannot communicate us. We torture them. They cannot lawsuit for us, right? They're just powerless. They cannot speak anything. So that's karma is we removing, we not talking and practicing in there. So if you don't talk and something problem you cannot talk, that is our suffering, but no burning karma. Using something, power, spiritual object, special object we using, practicing. That time then do something, create this kind of like experience, then that we can burning our karma, negative karma. So that's why Nyingne Ritu is powerful. You no talking and burning animals karma, and no eating, no drink, and burning hungry ghost karma. And then you chant all the time mantra, practicing, meditating. Your body, speech, mind is be the positive conduct. Not creating any negative karma, stop the negative karma. So that's practice, remove the harems karma. And that hardship, difficulty will remove the lower and negative karma. The Nyingne practice not going to take us enlightenment, but Nyingne practice is almost falling. I'm in the sense, chair is like sinking. Okay. So then this Nyingne practice, we does these things, helps really free from lower realm karma, take us birth in the higher realms. The Nyingne practice take birth us in the higher realms. That connection is spiritual connections. So we take birth in the higher realms, we no loss spiritual connection. Still we have spiritual connections. So spiritual connection, then you can create a more powerful practice in the higher realms. We can liberate in the higher realms to the enlightenment. So that's the idea, we free from lower realms. Some practice like bring us free from lower realms to higher realms, even not taken to the enlightenment. Yeah. Then when we take the higher realm, rebirth in the higher realm, we no lost the spiritual connections. We practice, meditate, and go to the enlightenment. So some condition, you reborn the higher realms, but you exhausting karma, go to the lower realms. That means using the spiritual power. You do some good things, no using any spiritual power, you just doing good things. That karma take you to higher realms. Example, you don't do any spiritual power, you just do some generosity, like giving things, sharing things. That bring you higher realms, very powerful, like material gaining powers. But then that can be exhausted again because you don't use the spiritual power. That's why, spiritual connection is very hard to get. Without spiritual power, you can reborn to higher realms. See, do something good in the human being realms and something that take you to higher realms. But the karma is exhausted, going to lower realms. In the human beings realm, you don't get connection spiritual again. here I know we talked about the Nyingneritude and something like spiritual connection. This practice reborn to higher realms, but still you have more spiritual connections that going to lower realms. You use this spiritual connection, you practice then Mahamudra meditation and use more higher level, deeper level practice going to the enlightenment. Do you understand? I think so. You understand, right? Yes or not? Do you hear or no?
Yes,
Yes,
Kambala?
we understand.
Yes, we
Make sense or not? Make sense or not?
Yes, yes.
I see
Okay.
heads nodding and thumbs up, so I think so, Kempo.
Okay, thank you, everyone. So, we have to know that then karma, when we create something, so sometimes like we think, oh, without spiritual, you do good things, what happened? With spiritual, you do good things, what happened? Both practice taking us to higher realms. But other one, you get higher realms, you don't get connection spiritual, then can be exhausted, that karma falling to lower realms again. You use spiritual, practice, and you reborn higher realms, and then you have a connection against spiritual, practice a more deeper level, go to the enlightenment. So that's why when Buddha shared the teaching, he said, do janarasti. Janarasti, you reborn to and the human being, and you practice the Dharma, you never get stuck with poverty. If you get poverty and then extremely suffering, you don't have opportunity to practice the Dharma. So that's why it's lower realms. He said, do morality, no stuck with lower realms, reborn to human beings, connect with the spiritual. And so these two practices bring us in the higher realms. And then practice patience, joyful effort. This practice become taking us to and the enlightenment. So that's why this six perfection, all we have to practice it, bring together. So now here is like Nagarjuna just mean important. There's so many he mentioned about this higher realm sufferings, different kind of sufferings. I already mentioned about many times. So some beings like higher realm, they're finished the negative, positive karma, they're falling to these kind of realms. Someone in this realm, they create so much negative karma, they're falling to these realms, lower realm, higher realms. Then sometimes we see in these human being realms, animal realms, that many beings has this experience because we torture, human beings, animals. Whatever Nagarjuna says, they have this animal realm, these beings has their own experience going suffering. So that's we have to recognize. When you study this, the goal is, the benefit is, we don't want to reborn these realms. We have to let it be fear. This fear is a positive fear. Positive fear is antidote to negative fear. And then that help you become, good renunciation, wanted to do good things. So that is the goal, is like when you receive this teaching. Then 87, I think we can leave here today. 87, finish the 86. That's okay, everyone?
Yes.
Okay, then we leave there today. Tomorrow continue. I do some short dedication prayers. I cannot share the, screen share with you due to today here, no internet. I'm using my phone, not the computer. Laptop, okay?
Do you want us to share Kempo, or would you just like to do Tibetan? That's wonderful too.
Oh, you want to share, you share, and then you read.
You can do Tibetan too, that's fine.
So you share the screen, that's fun for me.
Okay.
Please share the screen and read.
Doje Chang, Talopa, Naropa, Marpa, Milarepa, Dharma Lord Gampopa, Pagmodrupa, and Lord Drinkumpa, please bestow upon us the most auspicious blessings of all the Kagyu Lamas. By this virtue, may I achieve omissions. By defeating all enemies, confusion, may all who travel on the waves of birth, old age, sickness, and death cross the ocean of samsara. Bodhicitta, the excellent and precious mind, where it is unborn, may it arise. Where it is born, may it not decline, but ever increase higher and higher. I pray that the Lama may have good health. I pray that the Lama may have long life. I pray that your Dharma activities spread far and wide. I pray that I may not be separated from you. As Manjushri the warrior realized the ultimate state, and as did Samantabhadra, I will follow in their path and fully dedicate all the merit for all sentient beings. By the blessing of the Buddha who attained the three kayas, by the blessing of the truth of the unchanging Dharma as such, by the blessing of the indivisible Sangha order, may the merit I share bear fruit. By the virtues collected in the three times, by myself and all beings in samsara and nirvana, and by the innate root of virtue, may I and all sentient beings quickly attain unsurpassed, perfect, complete, precious enlightenment. May the teachings of the great Drinkumpa Ratna Shri, who is omniscient, Lord of the Dharma, Master of interdependence, continue and increase through study, practice, contemplation, and meditation until the end of samsara.
Mani Padme Hum, Mani Padme Hum, Om 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 Mani Padme Hum. Thank you, everyone.
Kempo, there was a question when you were teaching. I'm not sure who had asked that. And there's also a hand raised in addition.
Welcome questions.
Who had the question when Kempo was teaching? I couldn't see the person.
I think it was Kamala.
Yeah, it's me.
Oh, great. Okay. Thank you.
My question, actually, I think the question was answered better in the teaching. So yeah, so really thank you for the teaching, by the way. It's just amazing experience. So I'm so grateful. Thank you for having me here. I'm so grateful for being able to receive this amazing teaching. Yeah, the question was about the desire and about the attitude, you know, like I was just curious. How do you do that when you have desire, you know, just how do you work with your mind, you know? It's just like you answer after that you know, it's just not worthy, you know, like, you know, because we can fall in all of this different realms which are really not so pleasant. So yeah, I think that's the answer, but just yeah, if you can just clarify for me, I will appreciate it. Thank you.
So you mean that something for reduce desire practice, you mean?
Just when it strikes you, you know, like when you have a desire, you know, like, you know, I don't know, you want to buy something or, you know, there is something like you really want to have it, you know, it's just like the attachment, you know, you don't really need that, you know. You know,
that's I have problem too.
Thank you for sharing.
So it's you know, you wanted to buy something. I think it's that's not taking you to what we talked to this Rams, right? And so good is, you know, just buy mindfully something, and if you really wanted to use that, it's causes of happiness, then you know whatever we buy also have something practice there. So when we buy things, like, like thinking about our body, if like cloth, our body is the meditators, the body is yadam deity. So you're offering to your own yadam deity, right? Yeah. And so you're thinking about, this is my offering to my own yadam. Your body is your own yadam deity. And then also when we buy things, like if giving, paying is like called generosity for them. So mind can just, intention is powerful, right? Intention, paying things like with sharing them, generosity. So sometimes we don't really need this, like wanted to have the shops, like something, they wanted to just buy, okay, I want to support it. So people buy like Dharma things, like from Dharma centers, wanted to support the Dharma center. So that's the kind of, it's generosity and the offering. And so when we buy the shop, so we just think about, okay, this is my gift, giving, sharing for, like the need, this like something like comes, good intention is powerful, I think.
Amazing.
So then I think that is a win-win situation, I think so. So that's a Garjina just share, like when he come to United States, people ask him to go restaurant. He said he doesn't want to go, because first he thinks, okay, that's a big wasting money, and he count like, oh, this one person like have to pay $15, $10. That is like, he thinking about, okay, I can give like couple months food, like, like this money I can share for someone, like $1 can have food for another some areas. So that kind of thing is that wasting money. Then he slowly he changed his mind, because then he accept always like go to restaurant to eat. He think it's like that's also for generosity, for restaurant, helping for them, and just change idea, use. So that is, I think it's like, it's using for method and change our intention. That's power for we giving them, the restaurant need to survive salary. So it's that kind of a generosity giving to them. That is good, I think. Something, like humming for other beings directly, then that things is we don't do, something not directly, the no humming for other beings, just let benefit for someone is good.
I don't know if you can see the raised hand, Kempo, but Ed had his hand up for a question.
I don't see anything else.
Okay, Ed, would you like to go?
Sure. Good afternoon, Kenpo. I had a question. This is a general question that I wanted to clarify. When we practice the 7 supplications to Tara, do we usually visualize white Tara as the object of the prayer? Or can it be any Tara?
Could you hear that question, Kempo? I think you might be frozen. Kempo, if you can hear us, we can't hear you. I think he just dropped. we'll have the opportunity to practice patience for a few minutes and see if he's able to reconnect. And then Ed, you can ask your question again, or he'll have heard it and answer that. Okay,
Thank you very much.
sure. Okay, I just received a message from Kempo, and